Здравствуйте, уважаемые посетители сайта goodgame.ru. С вами Михаил и Кхалдор. Нас очень легко различить по нескольким признакам. Выцепили Кхалдор. Это наверняка, если вы знаете, легендарный комментатор и по Warcraft, и по StarCraft. Сейчас он комментирует Heroes of the Storm. И мы попробуем, я сразу извиняюсь за мой английский, взять у него небольшое интервью. Hello, how are you?
Привет, как дела?
Отлично. You said you know three phrases in English. That's the first one, and what the second and the third?
Вот купить, долго жить, продлим наши жизнь. Then ты мне нравишься. And wait, I have one more. У тебя красивые глаза.
Это все. That's all you need to pick up the girls in Russia, yeah?
And I can swear.
What?
I can insult people. So that's the first thing that you know. Like you know how to drink, how to insult people, and how to talk to girls. That's all that you need to know.
Great. About 9 or 10 months ago, you stopped making StarCraft 2 comments online, as far as I know, and switched to Heroes of the Storm. So the first question is about why did you choose this game exactly?
It was basically like a coincidence with the time that when I moved back from Korea to Germany, and the idea was that once I'm in Germany that I focus more on my own channels. So that means Twitch and YouTube. With StarCraft you have like all the established channels already for content, and on Twitch is very much the same. So it just made sense to like switch over to a game that's new. And I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm. I got my alpha key in the first wave, and therefore I really liked the game as well. So I wanted just to build something up like from the ground, and the transition made sense. I did still do like a lot of offline tournaments with StarCraft 2, but for the online content to have like consistency there, I wanted to just like show one game, and decided to make Heroes that game and just like try to run with it from the beginning and build up the esports scene.
And have you tried Hearthstone?
I played Hearthstone. I got a beta invite at the beginning, and I really liked it at the start, but it lacks a bit of dynamic and action for me. I can play it on a casual level, and it's fun, and I can enjoy it. I can certainly see why people play it, but for me, esports scene is about a lot more, and I need something that's a bit more action-packed than Hearthstone. It's just like card games on a professional level is not really my thing.
Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard tried to make it dynamic, as you said, but at the same time they tried to make it more easy for the new players. We also know that on the top level you have to be the best to get even in this seems like rather simple game. But what do you think about what qualities should the top team have to what differs top team from the beginners?
I think it's all about like really coordination in the fights. That's the most important aspect. Of course, it's something that all of the MOBAs claim for themselves, that they say coordination is really important. But in Heroes, that is taking it to a completely different level. What you said is completely right. Blizzard tried to just like create a game that makes it easy for a new player to really pick it up. That doesn't, for me personally, mean that the game is easy, because you can focus on a single hero with Heroes because you don't have items, but you have those talent choices. And there's always that discussion: what's the better MOBA? Which one is more difficult? And the thing is that just because a game is more difficult to play doesn't mean that it's also like the better game. For example, in Dota you have like, I don't know how many 100 items right now, but if you think about it, how many of those do you really see in a competitive match? I mean, you pick up your Black King Bar, your Monkey King, now your Black King Bar mostly and stuff, so you have basically the same set of items every single time, with a few variations, of course. If you then compare that to the talent builds that you can use on really well-developed heroes in Heroes of the Storm, like for example Vala, you have so many builds and also adjustments to whatever your opponent is playing that you have even more diversities there. So I feel for a newer player, it's really more easy to like pick the game up, but then when you're playing at the top, you have to make a lot of decisions that are extremely difficult. A talent choice can ruin a game for you. If on a Kel'Thas, for example, you decide to go into backdraft on level 16 because you feel you can pull it off, and you go away from your arcane barrier, but the opponent is able to jump you every single fight, the game is lost and it's over. So mechanics are also playing a role, but maybe not the same role as in other games that are out there. But the coordination in those team fights, that's probably what's even more important in Heroes than it is in a game like League of Legends or Dota 2.
What do you think Blizzard should do to increase popularity of Heroes of the Storm? Because just if you go right now on Twitch and try to compare the current online, it's not very good right now for Heroes of the Storm. So they made the nice game, easy to start to play, but what should they else do to make it more popular?
I was actually personally hoping that it at this point would already be a bit more popular, but I always said that it's really going to be at least a year after the game is released. And I mean, we released the game in June, so that has been like how many months? 3, 4, something along those lines. Of course, it was beta and alpha around, but there was not a lot of marketing for the game during all that time. So I feel the game is growing. But they have to, of course, make it a bit more popular, as you already said. Tournaments like Road to BlizzCon are really like huge, massive, and important step. I like that they, for example, give viewers now also portraits. We already saw that in other, like Dota does it. If you look at Counter CS:GO, they do the same thing. So Blizzard picking up on that and really trying to just push esports a bit more makes a lot of sense, and I like that a lot. I feel it's difficult for Heroes to really just like get the numbers. Like, it's not going to explode overnight simply because the market is saturated. You have so many different MOBAs out there. It's not only League of Legends and Dota 2, the big two, but there's also like Smite out there, there's like Hon and whatnot. So there's a lot of games that you have to compete with. But it is growing, and I feel like more players actually like give it a chance, the faster the base is going to be. Like, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Heroes is going to be really big, and it's already growing very, very fast.
What are your top 3 favorite heroes?
My top 3 favorite heroes are probably Abathur. I still like my Vala quite a lot. Abathur, Vala, extremely good. And for good measure, I would probably throw a tank in the mix and maybe at this point claim Muradin just because he's a lot of fun.
What do you think about new heroes and balance?
What I really like is that they have a very fast rate in which they introduce new heroes to the game, because our hero pool was really like smallish, which was, I think, also something that plays again into what we just talked about, that the viewer base was a little bit smaller because people said, hey, we see the same heroes too often. With them increasing the hero pool, I think that's awesome. We finally have also now new healers coming into play, support players like, for example, now Karazim, and then also the medic that's going to be released. I think they're doing a pretty decent job when it comes to the balance overall, especially for such a good game. There's, of course, always things that you can complain about, and with newer heroes, they tend to overtune them a bit so that people play them and that they get a lot of data. But I feel to this point they have not really made it in a way that you would say, okay, it breaks the game. And of course, during the professional plays, you can also use your draft. Just circumvent that. So in general, I like the heroes that they release. They have very good ideas. I'm looking forward to Atanas as well and the rest of the heroes that they're going to release. I think there was a thread on Reddit just the other day that they have an internal list of 200 heroes in total that they want to release over the next few years, or they could potentially release over the next few years, which is, of course, awesome that they have this many ideas already. So I kind of like the approach that they're running right now.
You have already played Overwatch. Can you tell a couple of words of emotions?
Personally, I'm not as hyped for Overwatch as other people are, but I think that's also because I played Overwatch very late. Like, at the first events where it was played, I didn't really play the game, and when I got the chance then finally, I had, of course, also read all of the feedback, and everybody was like treating it like the holy grail of esports, so when I played it, I was a little bit disappointed. But I played it again today. We had a developer match where I played with Palitime and like a French team. They already have quite some experience, and they also could help me a little bit and just like tell me things that I didn't know before. And once that you get into a game, of course, then you know more about the match itself, then it makes it a bit more fun. Apparently, I am a pretty decent Reinhardt and won one of our games, even though I have no idea how I did it. So it was pretty fun. I liked it. Not quite sure if it's going to be my thing for esports. Like, okay, for that maybe I have to like talk real quickly. When I look at the game, I always think about like, is that a game that I could cast and get fully into the esports scene? And I think for me, Overwatch is probably going to stay something that I play on a casual basis with friends. It's fun, but I'm not quite sure if I would commit as much as to say, okay, I'm going to cast this game and like switch games, for example.
It's rather hard to find time to cast StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, maybe to play Overwatch with friends, and StarCraft Legacy of the Void is about to come. Are you going to come back to StarCraft 2?
Well, with StarCraft, I never really left completely. I just like left with the online part. I did still the offline events, and I just came back from Birmingham last week where I casted Gfinity. That might have been my last StarCraft event. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle it, but it was probably for me the last offline event with Heart of the Swarm. Now we're having Legacy of the Void come out, and at that point I have to make the decision if I want to really commit a lot more to StarCraft again and to Legacy, or if I'm going to stay with Heroes. I haven't really made the decision yet. I'm going to play Legacy of the Void for sure. I mean, there's like, I'm going to buy the game, I'm going to play the solo player, I'm going to play multiplayer as well. But at that point, I really have to make that decision and see. I didn't really make a final one on that yet, but I enjoy Heroes. I think I have a pretty good grasp on the game, and I'm on the analytical side better in Heroes than I ever was in StarCraft. So that personally appeals to me when it comes to the casting aspect. So I'll have to wait and see. But right now, I'm leaning towards Heroes.
On Good Game, there are a lot of streamers, and can you give some advice as some experienced streamer to the new ones? What can you say to them?
Well, for new streamers, I think one of the most important things is consistency. It's not enough to just like show yourself once or maybe like twice a week. If you really want to build something up and with like look into the future, you have to put regular content out there. That means ideally you have some kind of content every single day, and if not, then at least on a regular basis so that you can bring that out. And one of the things that you have to have is just like a certain amount of confidence. Like you need to really just like show your viewers something and think about that aspect. Like that's probably the most important part. Of course, you also need to have some knowledge about what you do and really try to get into it and really explain, okay, why is this and this happening, and trying to really entertain. But it's really important, I feel, that you have a certain kind of charisma, and that's something that you just can't teach. So you have to kind of be realistic about that, but as long as you work hard and you really just like put out regular content, I think you can achieve a lot.
Great. Thank you very much. That was the last one. If you want to say something
Exilia was trying to teach me like a sentence that I could like direct to a Russian audience. Unfortunately, I haven't learned it yet, probably. So in that sense, like just a shout out to the Russian community, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.